All right. So we have why is the shutdown happening? Dems shut down the government because they think it's not going bankrupt fast enough. Of course. Of course. Now, this is an opinion article on New York Post. Democrats have shut down the federal government because they think the federal debt isn't spiraling out of control fast enough. They demand that the Republican majority in Congress agree to spend more taxpayer cash on Dems' priorities. This is why we hired Trump. We elected him to stop the corruption, to stop the flow of illegals, get them out of here, and cut the spending. Dems forced the shutdown by using the filibuster to prevent a Senate floor vote that would have passed the House stopgap bill to fund federal operations for another 6 weeks or so, as their price just to allow a vote. Democrats demand roughly 1.5 trillion in added spending, despite despite their denials, and significant part of that is funding for health coverage for illegal immigrants, which Chuck U. Schumer said on the floor a few days ago that it's a lie, that they never, ever, ever wanted to give money to them or have they want it in the future. It's a lie. We're not using money, American taxpayer money, to uh, take care of the immigrants, illegal immigrants. Their own alternative bill spelled that out with language repealing recent GOP legislation that restricts Medicaid coverage of such migrants. The main category of federal medical spending on undocumented aliens jumped from 3 billion dollars in 2023 to 9 billion dollars in 2024. Now, Chuck U. Schumer said that Republicans were lying. But here it says we spent $3 billion in 2023 on this. Even more federal cash flows indirectly to such care via various state according to gimmicks that the Biden administration just winked at. An even bigger Chuck U. Chuck of Dems 1.5 trillion demand is to fund Obamacare subsidies to lower the price of the insurance brought via the exchange. Democrats used their Biden era majorities in the Congress to impose these temporary subsidies first via the American Rescue Plan Act. Now, doesn't that sound really good? American Rescue Plan Act. I think the Dems and the Libs have the best slogans for these programs that sound so good but yet they're so bad. And then the Inflation Reduction Act, though of course bailing out Obamacare had nothing to do with bouncing back from COVID nor fighting inflation. Millions of Americans won't buy Obamacare policies without these subsidies because, despite Dems' insistence at the time that Obamacare would bend the cost curve down, premiums have nearly doubled since the Democrats rammed the law through without a single Republican vote. Now, it ain't no big surprise that everybody's premiums quadrupled when this crap came down the pike. Come on, people, let's be real. The GOP is willing to discuss restoring some subsidies, but not in the stopgap bill. Meanwhile, the Obamacare law also vastly spiked federal Medicaid outlays, bribing states to expand coverage by picking up 90% of the added costs. Another temporary arrangement that Dems keep extending. Like the Dems, they just want to pass the buck to somebody else. Let's just go. Let's just keep spending the money, but we'll pass the buck and we'll make the states pay 90% of a bill where the government, Obamacare, says that everybody's entitled to free health care, but apparently there is no such thing, ladies and gentlemen, as a free sandwich. As a result, Uncle Sam's Medicare spending has exploded and it jumped from 400 billion in 2019 to 615 billion in 2023, and it's roughly 650 billion this year. Now, how much of this do you guys think that it is part of our taxpayer money paying for illegal immigrants receiving health care? Now, I do think that if an illegal came into an emergency room, absolutely treat them. Anybody who's sick, ill, children, old, middle aged, whatever, treat them. And if they're illegal, you treat them, you call ICE, and then they come and dump them off in their own country after you have treated them. I think that is the way to go. The GOP's One Big Beautiful Bill Act this year aimed to slow that growth in coming years. Undoing those restraints is another part of Democrats' 1.5 trillion ransom demand. We have to stop the bleeding, people. We have to stop the bleeding. I don't. How much money did New York spend on busing those people in? We all saw the footages. I did some videos of them bussing them in and then putting them up in hotels, giving them cell phones. All this was not just the taxpayers of New York, but that was the taxpayers of the whole United States. So this is another thing, people, that you should think about. These states who want to be a state where illegals can go and they can be safe there, and the state and their citizens are paying for this, but yet those states want more federal money because they can't afford it. They need the federal government to help them. So I think Trump's administration needs to cut those states off. Either, if you want illegals to have safe refuge in your state, then you're going to pay for it. We're not, and we're not giving you any money. That's it, bottom line, because they can't afford it. Now step back and look at a bigger picture. Thanks in good part to President Joe Biden's two huge spending bills, the national debt is now over 37 trillion, up from not quite 28 trillion when he took office. Not only did that hog wild spending produce Binflation, Bidenflation, and it put the country on a completely unsustainable fiscal path. Republicans are trying to restore sanity by 1, slowing Medicaid's growth, 2, declining renew the huge subsidies that cover up Obamacare's failures, epic with a big old L. Take the L. 3, stopping the use of federal funds to cover illegal immigrants' health care. And I think also shut off the flow of money again to the states who have sanctuary laws that let these people in, and then want the rest of the country to send, because the federal government gets money from everybody. So it's your money, people. Everybody's money in the country that's going to places like California, who are sanctuary cities like San Francisco in California. Democrats are trying to blackmail the GOP into surrendering on all 3 counts, abandoning all efforts to stop the debt from spiraling out of control, simply to fund the government through November. And I do hope, since we've been shut down, they need to get in there and say, what is useless spending in government with all these subcommittees and all of this extra waste of money that you're paying these people to do absolutely nothing. And this, ladies and gentlemen, that is what this shutdown is all about. There you go. There you go. Dems shut down the government because they think it's not going bankrupt fast enough. You have Biden administration, illegals pouring across the border like a sieve. Sanctuary cities. They were deporting people to all these different cities, putting them up in hotels, giving them cell phones, giving them food, giving them health care, costing the American taxpayers across America billions of dollars. And the Democrats, Chuck U. Schumer, stood on the floor going, the Republicans are lying. We never were going to pay for illegals health care. Well, that's a bunch of bull. We just read that they spent like $3 billion in 2023 on this garbage, and we saw it with our own eyes. It's like they think a lot of us are stupid. But wake up, America, and see this, and let's stop the madness at once. And there you have it. Like and subscribe.